Bam, we're live.
It was a little weird. I think
Where's James Sprague?
James Sprague is coming. He is on his way. Sevon, what are you doing over there? You getting your swerve on?
Pretty much. I'm just chilling. I got tired of this game shit. Went and visited some friends.
Okay, guys. Well, welcome. Here we go. The end of day one, event 2. Right off the bat, JR, let's start with you. Did anything jump out at you? Were you surprised by anything? Let's start with the teams.
No, not really. I think everything kind of panned out the way I saw it. I do defer a little bit to Andrew on some teams. Some of the teams that I know personally seem to do pretty well on the lift. Shoe Fly was there, did pretty well. Obviously, we know about Mayhem doing well. But I definitely want to get to that event too, which is, I know, kind of like maybe a hot topic we want to discuss with the possible appeal for the result of workout 2.
The chest to bars you're talking about, right?
Correct.
Yeah, those were not very good. And I mean, in my point of view is it's really easy to fix that. Just don't count them, right? And I don't understand. I just don't understand like what the judge is doing in that situation where they're letting those things go. I mean, every single competition has some sort of synchro something, and chest to bar is rather common, or toes to bar, and then all you gotta do is say no, 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 and then
Wait. Tell me, sorry guys, sorry to interrupt you, Andrew. I didn't watch any of the events. I just got off that last podcast and just started pouring Tito's and soda. What? So what happened? Well, what's the issue? I'm sensing some hesitancy when I heard JR say he's going to defer to Hiller. I'm like, oh shit, that means that there's a lot of no reps that need to be called out. James, good morning.
What's up, gentlemen? How we doing?
James,
Great, James.
How are you?
I'm doing all right, boys. What are we up to today?
Hiller's
we're
just breaking
going to
out.
talk about everything you want to talk about. What's up with you?
Let's go. Well, my last 5 days have been just eating lots of candy and chilling out, bro. I don't have
Candy
much
of
on my
choice
mind.
is what? What's the candy of choice?
Dude, I have a lot of things. I go those nerd gummy clusters. I do these Scandinavian swimmers from Trader Joe's.
You're going to need to be careful. Sevon's going to kill you.
I was going to
if you
say,
keep talking about
James, you're
sugar.
precedent here. We can't be screwing around while I'm on the watch here. No sugar.
I know.
Sugar. What is?
I asked the question and then I nipped it in the bud. I was like, Sevon's going to get pissed.
So
This is
Hiller,
America. We run off sugar.
Hiller, what were those bats about at the last one? You were getting a ton of them. You just started on the team event. What's going on?
Yeah, I have a feeling that as we were broadcasting that event, that was what was happening because I needed to backtrack a little bit. So I bet that in that exact moment in time, and you know what? I know that's factual because I had a screenshot of it sent to me so I can go back and look at it. The Robins are in full effect. The Mayhem team and what was it? Camo Athletics CrossFit. Camo Athletics CrossFit was getting a handful of synchronized chest to bars to count that shouldn't have been counting. And at one point in time, they stopped. And right as they stopped, it appeared that the male athlete was unable to do a chest to bar. So the judge finally called a no rep, but 3 or 4 of the reps previous to those also did not count, as well as the ensuing 2 or 3 reps that they did after the break. And that allowed them to apparently, and you don't really know for sure, but it does appear that they then took the event win over Mayhem Independence. So in the grand scheme of things, Mayhem Independence is still winning. They won the first event. They took second on that event. So does it really matter? No, but when everyone's watching it, it looks really bad. Sevon's raising his hand. What's up?
Explain this to me. So what you're saying is that they were doing a synchro event, and Angelo, what are the ladies' name? Alexis and Sasha. And Luke Parker, their chests weren't touching the bar.
The Independence team was good to go. It was the opposing team that beat them that was having the issues.
And what does that look like? Describe that to me. What does that look like when you're not synchro in your chest to bar pull-ups?
When you're going synchro, the pull-ups look like this, and when they're not going synchro, it ends up looking like this. It's like pop, 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 and it's very easy to see.
Yeah. I mean, the chests were making contact, alternating. Not even close to synchronized.
Correct.
How would you even count those then?
Well, that's the issue. They shouldn't have counted. And you would think that anybody with eyes would say, no, those don't count. And that's the issue at hand. I'm sending you guys a link, and maybe Sousa can throw it on the feed, and then Sevon will know exactly what we're talking about. So that'll come through eventually.
Not if it's going to get us one of those strikes.
Good job.
Cut it off real quick. Yes.
Who ended up winning?
They did. The team that was getting the no reps. It allowed everybody got capped. They were capped +7 with the victory. Mayhem Independence was capped +8, finishing second. So they got one more rep over Mayhem, probably because they were given those reps that they shouldn't have been given.
James, did you see that event?
I just watched basically the final female heat and then a couple of the guys heats because I have a bunch of friends in the guys. I don't know if you just saw Nick Thomas. He's going to be sitting like third after day one, but he's a guy I trained with here at home in Washington, and he's like shocking everyone on day one. It was pretty cool to watch. But I didn't see the teams.
Was he in heat 2 and he finished real well in the overhead squat?
Yeah, he actually just this is like his first year back in 4 years, and he's kind of has a similar story to Ricky, and he's coming back. He's such a humble dude, and like it's really cool to see him back out. I'm super pumped for him.
Wait a second, let me see if I understand what's going on here. We were just talking about teams. I asked James if he watching him. He switched it to the male individual and then told us about one of his friends who got busted for getting juiced up and who's now doing good. Did I follow that right? Is that what
basically,
happened?
That's basically.
Wow.
But
that's why this show is number one on all networks, on all ratings.
Nick is a humble killer, man. Nick has come.
What was the
so
substance?
Far.
Do you remember? Do you know? Do you know the substance he was popped for? That's always what I'm curious about.
I heard the story, and man, he's a really good dude, and it's just it's hard to fathom what happened, but you never know.
What's the public story?
Get him, Hiller.
He had a pretty crazy girlfriend that kind of.
No shit.
Yeah.
Did she?
She spit tinted semen into his mouth like that girl from Berkeley who got busted. Do you remember her? Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember.
That's a great question, but all I know is this man has been putting in work over the last 4 years, and he has not backed down to adversity, and I'm freaking excited for him.
Good. So he's like a B-list Ricky Garrard because we don't know his name, but it could end up being a really good story. Hell yeah. All right, Nick Thomas, right?
Hey, listen to this. Squeaky clean James Sprague is backing this dude up. I give him a pass.
I swear on my everything, I've trained with this dude enough to know he's very legit, and he's helped me a lot in my journey too, man. I've competed with him like at little competitions the last couple years too, and he's just so strong mentally. It's been cool. He's rubbed off a lot on me.
James, don't let him rub off on you. Don't kiss him or his girlfriend on the lips. I'm telling you, buddy.
No, not too close. Not too close. So let's put a bow on this team thing real quick before we move on to the individual. JR, do you think that there is a chance for them to appeal what happened and then Mayhem will end up taking first in that event?
The information I'm gathering here on site is saying that there is no way to do that.
Really?
Because it would mean that they would go back and essentially take reps away, and then if they did that, I just don't see how they would do it.
I'm actually going to make a video on this, but Ben Smith was talking. Yeah, you don't say make a video on fucking everything. But in the Ben Smith most recent podcast, he was talking about the Panchik thing, and it was him and Panchik wandering around trying to get the rope taken care of. And they were there at 7:30 in the morning because they were told if they did not show up. So the event was at 7:30 a.m. and then the briefing, the event was 5 hours later. So they didn't want to wake up, but they were told if they didn't wake up to go to the briefing, they would lose the chance to appeal an event. And that's something that we've all heard. But Ben Smith makes it rather clear that at no point has there ever been any sort of an appeal that will then be granted to them. So like, why would they show up? And they didn't show up the next day. Every athlete who's been in a CrossFit space who has tried to make an appeal has never been like given any sort of an inch, with the exception of like maybe Cara Webb overhead squatting on that 2-2-2-3 interval. I think that there was an adjustment made on that after the event, but other than that, there's really been nothing.
Yeah, I think the same can be said for online competition. The only one I know of specifically is Cedric's.
Correct.
Yeah. Can you add something to that?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy they actually have an appeal process for like how many scenarios they could change things and they just choose not to. So I'm like, I agree with what Smith and Panchik did, like not showing up. Like it's like you're really not going to get anything out of it.
You can get like 3 more hours of sleep and nothing changes, right?
It's nuts.
I mean, you know what the workout is. It's just down and back, climb the rope. Yep. What are you going to miss out on other than the fact that they're trying to shorten it and they didn't shorten it until this week, and then they shortened it. Hey, thanks, guys.
So
I'd like to just chime in one final thing. Sorry, Susan. One final thing on this. That rope thing, the more and more I think about it, that it does not fall on anyone, in my opinion, other than CrossFit Inc. Whoever's in charge of CrossFit Inc. of the CrossFit Games is at the end should stand up and man up and be like, hey, this is a workout we told them to do. This is a CrossFit sanctioned event. This is our responsibility. We've been doing these events for years, and that, just so you guys know. So that's currently where I stand on this 100%. I'm not like I've thought about it enough. I've heard enough of the sides. That's just my opinion. I wanted to throw that out there.
All right, so the appeal process basically doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I
What
haven't
you're
uploaded
saying.
that clip for you. Or do you want to show that? Did you
Hey,
get it come through?
and at the end of the day, here's the thing too with Mayhem and that team. That's not that team's fault that the judge fucked that up. At the end of the day, the Mayhem team, we've talked about this ad nauseum, that at the end of the day, you have to win the event, you have to beat the judges, you have to beat the other people's judges. Mayhem did what they needed to do, and they're probably still going to win the event, but now they got a second place on their record. They're no Tia to me.
Fair. So no, I won't be able to show that clip because I'd have to convert it and like upload it here. So maybe we'll have to circle back around to that later. So let's start with the women's individual event 2 here. James, any big surprises for you? Anything jump out at you?
Just a couple of the girls that are up and coming from the teenage division. I think Shelby O'Neill and then Rebecca Fuselier. I don't know how to say her last name. Just a couple of young studs coming up and crushing it. Like that last event, I think there was like a 4th and a 5th place for those two. Faith Ferguson as well. Can't leave her out. She's ahead of Danielle Brandon. Yeah, honestly, Brooke Wells coming back off her elbow. Story shocking everyone, but two events today that could have been detrimental on an elbow, but she rose up and crushed.
Yeah, JR, how big was this event for Brooke Wells coming back? We see a lot of overhead work, the handstand walk, the overhead squat. Was this kind of a comeback for her in the sense of getting back with that elbow?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there should be any reason to believe that she's not heading into day 2 with the most confidence she could possibly have. Going heavy overhead and then holding the bar overhead for, let's face it, probably 2+ minutes of time, not counting the time under tension on the handstand walk. She's got to be feeling great about the way her elbow's holding up to this point.
Yeah. Hiller, what do you think about that? Did you, speaking of the no reps, did you catch that Danielle Brandon no rep right at the very end with the handstand walk there, looking like it may have cost her the event win?
It cost her the event win, but it should have because it was a good call on the judge's end, correct?
Yeah. So walk us through what happened.
I mean, she put her hands in front of the line and the judge called her back, and the judge should have called her back. That's all we're asking for, because if that would have happened on the team end of things, like what we were talking about, it's likely Mayhem would have moved ahead, just like Brooke moved ahead of Danielle Brandon here. And it's always, I mean, it's the judge's job to call out things when they see things going the wrong way. And I would bet you that Danielle Brandon's not upset about it, because she'll look at it and she'll go, oh yeah, that was the right call.
Now, looking at the leaderboard here in the top 5 with these women, is there anybody that's here now that will not be here at the end of the weekend?
Should we ask James?
James, let's start with you.
Oh man, I can't tell. You can never tell anything from day one. Like you can't tell crap. Obviously, like you're looking at who's consistent. Like that's a good sign. But also, like the events tomorrow are completely opposite of the events today. We got like no weights tomorrow, no barbell, a really short one, a really long one. While today's were just a lift and like a moderate kind of time domain, like that 8 to 12 minute. But I really don't think that you can tell anything yet. I think that these two girls in 3rd and 4th are legit, and they've come a long way. And I would love to see them stay up there.
Yeah, especially those two young ones, Shelby Neal and Faith Ferguson, that you were saying there. Is this going to be their coming out party, so to speak?
It sure could. It sure could. I mean, they haven't really had. I think both these ladies have been at semifinals last year, but I think it was just their intro year, kind of like my year last year. It was like get the feel for it, understand like what the comp floor is and feel it out. And then once you have that confidence under your belt, it's like you can really take off.
Yeah. JR,
I got a quick question, Susan. Can I jump in there?
Absolutely.
When you mentioned their names, you mentioned was it Shelby? And you mentioned another girl. I don't know who it is. And JR kind of pumped his fist. Who was that? And what's the deal with that, JR? Why do you get excited about that second lady?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just really cool to see girls like Shelby who, have come and do my competition. She won this past year when the thumb took the victory. And just getting to know Shelby a little bit over that weekend, she's one of the most humble and just real athletes I've really ever been around. And she actually told me after that competition, she wasn't sure what her plans were as far as this season went. She didn't know she was going to do the Open. She was possibly considering entering the military. So just seeing her decide to compete as fit as she was when I saw her in person is just really cool to see her progress.
And who was the other lady?
Shelby
Was that?
Neal?
No, there was Shelby Neal, and there was
Rebecca.
one more.
Faith
Rebecca at
Ferguson?
11.
Rebecca
Oh.
Fusswiller.
Do you know her, JR?
Foussier? No, I don't know her.
You
Okay.
should check. She has probably the best content I've seen on Instagram. She's at the gym like 14 hours a day, and she posts her and her dog are like best friends, and they do everything together. And I bet they rack in some sponsor money. That dog's her main source of income.
Who is that again, Sprague? What's her name?
Number 11, Rebecca.
Okay.
Growing up, I knew somebody whose dog had like 50,000 followers on Instagram, and they would get money from it, from free dog food for other dogs and shit.
Wow.
The real thing.
That's funny.
That's heartwarming. Hiller, anything stand out for you with these top 5 women here?
Yeah, I got to bring this up is that I said that after the first 2 events, Brooke Wells may be in 6th or 7th, and she's in 1st. And I knew that was going to be the case watching her do the clean complex. So I should go ahead and retract that statement, saying that she looks totally dominant. She's going to end up doing real well this weekend.
Does she come out of that first place spot?
I don't think so.
James, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow is a completely different story, and Brooke's been just so consistent in a lot of workouts over her career, so I don't count her out of anything.
You don't count her out of the first place spot, or you don't count her out of contending?
The contending. You can't say anything's locked up after the first day.
You're right.
Yep.
Sydney Mikulishin looks like a fucking tank.
Yep.
She's the future, baby. She's the future.
Savon, you really like her.
God, I love her. She's great. She presents herself and performs on the field. There's I don't know. Symmetry is not the right word, but yeah, she's the real deal. She puts in the hard work. She doesn't have the distractions in her life. You could say she's the James Sprague on the female side, and James Sprague is the male version of her. Just committed, good-hearted, young human.
That's really nice. I don't know if you'll remember this. You actually mentioned her name on our last podcast, and it was pretty funny.
I was probably trying to set you guys up.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
JR, what about you? 1 and 2 here with Brooke and Sydney. Are those spots moving at all in your opinion?
Yeah, I think there might be some movement after tomorrow. Remember, the legless rope climb workout is looming, and we should all kind of just hold our breath to make sure that none of the ladies, I would even say like in the top 10, don't have a major glaring weakness that could kind of shift the leaderboard. I don't really expect it from Brooke or Sydney, but I guarantee you there'll be someone up here towards the top that takes a big hit on that. If history serves, the people we should be looking for to move are possibly the people that finished the highest on the barbell complex, or the people who finished the lower on the barbell complex in the top 10. So you see a lot of movement sometimes with that being the lowest placing finish for an athlete or the highest placing finish for an athlete. Like just thinking about last week at Syndicate, Mrs. McClellan doing really, really well day 1, day 2, and then something just happened day 3 and she ended up falling back.
Yeah. Jay, are you at the event? Were you there? How was it? What was it like? How was the attendance looking today?
I will say, comparatively to all weekend last weekend, there seemed like there were a lot more people here today. And for a Friday, that just tells me that there's probably going to be a lot more tomorrow and Sunday. Something that I'm not sure you guys could see, talking about Danielle Brandon's no rep. The judges are really, really tight this weekend. I know last weekend talking to Jason and some of the guys, the judges were pretty tight on some specific movements like the wall ball reps, maybe the GHD reps, but on the overhead squats, heats 1, 2, and 3, males and females, I mean, lots of athletes getting no rep. High level athletes, big name athletes, I mean, no name, all of them.
Yeah. Hillary, how much of that box that they had to stay in during the overhead squats, how much do you think that affected them? Because I saw some people where they would power snatch it up and trying to balance that heaviest last bar. They would take a step right out of the box and immediately get no rep or have to take a couple steps back. And it seemed like it was throwing off a few of them towards the end.
Are you saying they were power snatching it because they were afraid of squat snatching it and the box would become an issue? Or are you saying that they're getting no reps because the box is too small?
Box is too small.
I think the box is a good size, and I think that might play into accuracy coordination component of the sport. So, like, not only do you have the overhead squat bar, which, you need to keep yourself in one spot and actually do the overhead squats the way you should, but now also you aren't allowed to move around. And I remember one of the things that was an issue in early day CrossFit was people catching a lift and running around with it and still having it count, where Olympic weightlifters would look at it and say, oh, that doesn't count. Like, that's so stupid. That's probably a step in the right direction. And it's also great that the judges are calling it, which, yeah, they are. They're calling a lot of stuff. I had in the comments section, it was like super. And I mentioned this last week, and it was very steroidy, where everyone's like, these people are all on steroids. I was like, all right, guys, just watch the fucking event. And then when I clicked on there, it seemed as if from the point in time that the team event went on, all the way through like heat 2 of the individual females, everyone's like, the judges suck. And I'm like, do you not see how many no reps are being called? You're so caught on that one instance. And it's like, that was one judge who made a mistake, yes, and they shouldn't have done that. And it's good that it's being addressed. But like, once it's addressed and it's out there, I'm sure the judge is going to be, they're probably going to see it on the internet. They'll go, fuck, I completely ruined everything. So they're never going to do it again, ever. They won't. They'll never make that mistake again. And that's the idea. But where was I going with all this shit? The comment section needed to clear up a little bit. So I wonder what's going to happen next week. Like, what's the thing that I'm going to see that, like, all right, guys, chill out.
Yeah. James, were those boxes a factor at all? I mean, we talked about it with the torque tank and trying to stay in your line and how that threw some people off trying to get it back. Was that as much as a factor with these, with the boxes for you?
There was no event where it was like really tight. The floor and your lane was pretty big for every event. The only one I had an issue with was on the lift. Like I came off my platform. That was just a personal mistake. And I missed my last split jerk because my foot slipped off. But I don't think that like everyone trains that can train in a tighter box or a tighter space, and you shouldn't be moving like 5 feet in front, 5 feet in back. So it's not actually that big of a box. I think that it shouldn't have like affected too much.
So before we move on to the men, is there anything in the women we want to add here? Hillary, are you raising your hand or are you just checking the broken elbow?
This is the good elbow.
Oh, it's the good elbow. Okay.
Yeah, this one's the busted elbow. You should see it. I got to point out this comment where it says, this looks like an episode in the future when Savan has dementia but still demands a video feed. It's pretty good. I know he can't read it. I thought that was pretty good.
Thank you, Mike M, for that comment there. Okay, JR, anything else before we move on to the men here? Anything we want to add? Anything we didn't cover with these women in the event too?
Yeah. I think we should probably just stress that Bailey Rail, that 13th, I have a feeling is going to by far be her lowest finish of the weekend. Don't be surprised if like maybe she climbs up into 2 by the end of the weekend.
Is that what you were getting at with the lower end of the lift, probably scooting up? Okay.
For sure.
I thought so.
And Danielle as well.
So we're looking for Bailey Rail and Danielle to start making their climb in day 2. All right, so we'll move on to the men now. Let's start there.
James, wait. Sorry. One question. What place? I can't see because I'm on my phone. But what place did Danielle Brandon take in that?
Second. The first one or the second?
The second workout.
Second.
Okay, and that's what we expected, right? She's the handstand walking master. Whether it's male, female, she's the top of the food chain in that movement. Is that correct?
Yeah, it appeared like in that workout where Brooke really made her move was on the GHD cycle rate.
Okay, and Brooke took first because we knew there was 270 feet of handstand walks. Is that correct?
In total.
Yes.
Sounds right.
Okay, and what we saw her do at the games was just ridiculous, right? She basically just ran away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, she's good on her hands, that's for sure.
That being Danielle Brandon. Yeah, they said that a bunch it was pretty funny. It's like, this girl can run on her hands. It didn't end up really looking like it played that much into it.
Look, when I say something about an athlete and I'm asking for affirmation about their movement, and Matt Souza answers before you, Howell, you, Sprague, or you, Hiller, that means you three are fucking up.
Won't happen again.
Shit, guys, Savon's drunk.
Oh my God.
He's getting angry. He's an angry drunk.
He's getting angry.
If you guys thought Daniel Brannon's handstand walks were fast, you should see Tudor Magda's from last weekend. I don't know if you watched event 4 from the syndicate. He can run faster on his hands than a lot of guys can jog like on their feet.
It was impressive. It was impressive.
Crazy.
Do you guys remember Matt Rattay? Mighty Mouse Matt Rattay? Do you remember how fast that motherfucker was on his hands? Yeah, Savon's missing it. We're finally talking about what he wanted to talk about.
Hey, do you guys think Brooke Wells absolutely destroyed those GHDs because for a while that's all the movement she had to practice?
Yeah, likely. She just did like 1,000 a week, and now it's nothing for her to do 120 of them in a workout.
Yeah, I got that sent with me that like you could still do GHDs apparently with while you're healing from an elbow injury. So that
I think
paid
a
off
guy
for
at
her there.
Mayhem actually did 1,000 in a workout, and then
That was
he
Dre
did-
Strom.
I
Did he
remember
do?
that.
Did
He
he
did
do?
20 a minute for an hour.
Didn't he do that with wall balls too? He did that 1,500 or something.
Fuck, that one I don't know. But
That's so nuts.
there's an athlete named Lauren Gonzalez who did like this crazy month where she would do things like that. It was like 1,000 wall balls, 1,000 thrusters, just things like that. I never understood how.
Wow. Yeah, that's nuts.
The original person, Jenny Orr, back. This is Hiller. You were still in your dad's scrotum. 2008 or 9. There was a lady on the L1 team. She's still on the L1 team. I think she's a flow master now, named Jenny Orr. And I remember she would be busting off like 1,000 air squats, 1,000 wall balls, shit like that. So let that
So
be
the
noted.
next thing needs to be like 1,000 deadlifts at 315.
Colton's on that. Colton's on that.
Colton will be doing that, yeah.
It'll be a daily practice. So moving on to the men here. Unless you guys had anything else to add for the women. No, we're good.
Clear.
Okay, so individual men. James, let's start with you. Your boy, second place there.
Oh, bro, I expected nothing less.
Is that what we expect from old Dallin Pepper there? Is this just the beginning for him for his weekend?
I didn't expect his lift to go that well. I knew he'd hit 320, but I didn't know if he had that 325 in him. Homeboy has been much more consistent. He's not just strong now, so he can do a little bit of everything. I mean, he's right behind me and running and in the pool now too, which is really scary. So, yeah, it's pretty nuts to see his consistency. And he tied me in training on workout 3, and I did pretty well on workout 3 at Syndicate. So, expect a really good finish from him there tomorrow too. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Dallin comes out of this with a dub. Just knowing how consistent he is, and you know, he plays his game so well on the floor. It's pretty cool.
That's JR. What do you think about that? Saxon number 1, Dallin Pepper number 2. Are they just going to be trading blows this whole time? Are they moving out of those spots?
Yeah, I think there's probably going to be a little bit of movement. But I don't know. I mean, both of those being top 5s to start the weekend is pretty impressive to me. James can probably speak to this a little more. I don't know specifically Dallin's so-called strengths and weaknesses. Is there going to be a workout that he's not really looking forward to, or perhaps like a damage control workout later in the weekend? Based on what I saw at Wadapalooza, it doesn't look like he has any of those kind of holes.
How are his rope climbs?
Well, he tied me in that rope climb workout. Like I said, like he's really good at that stuff. Like the only one that like I'm excited to see him get redemption on is workout 4, because it's long cardio aerobic. Like, you know, it's not that he sucked at that stuff in the past, but he's gotten a lot better at it. Like if you just look at like the quarterfinals, where the long workout with the wall balls, shuttle runs, rope climbs, like similar to that, like he like was like 10th in that in the quarterfinals. Like, and I'm like, dude, you should never be getting 10th in that. And so he will do well in everything here. I watched him test that workout 5 in training. It was insane, psycho to watch. Yeah, I really don't think there's anything slowing him down. He still has his lock screen as his 6th place from last year, which I did the same thing with mine already. I was just like, I need to change this. Let me see if I can pull it up. But I'm just like, I need something to get me some fire fuel for next year. So I put that up there. And just like defining moments, he has that still on his lock screen. So he's hungry.
James, I know we don't have Dallin on here. We should probably ask him himself, but you hear these stories of someone like Matt Fraser who did a run and took last place, and then all he did for the next year was he joined a high school track team and runs his ass off. Or you hear Miko Stalo locking himself in a closet every morning, you know, and just hitting the fucking rower. Or you hear people getting on the assault bike and selling their soul every morning. You train with Dallin down there with Matt Torres and that brute strength crew. Did you see any of that, like almost insane OCD type of shift in Dallin? Like, okay, I'm going to build this engine. And then the second part to that, isn't that interesting? You have Dallin who looks like superficially like a tank, a brick shithouse like the Hulk, who's at the top of the heap here, and you have Saxon who looks a little more svelte. I mean, he's still yoked as shit, but I mean, he's putting up 325. What do you think about those two different body types? But first, what did you see in Dallin's training?
What do I see in Dallin's training? I mean, you know, he's always trained really hard and showed up and never really, you know, he doesn't really have bad training days, which is insane. Like I've seen in the 5 years that I've known him and trained with him. Obviously we haven't been together every day, but I've seen like 1 or 2 days where he's like had a really bad day, where a lot of competitors like will have like a day every couple of weeks where they're just like shit the bed on everything and they feel like their world's falling apart. It's because Dallin is so locked in to CrossFit. Like this is an example. Like if I ever ask him to come over to my house in Florida, it's like, nah, dude, I'm comfortable in my house and I recover better here. So he'll never come over. And like, that was a tough thing for me as a friend. Cause I'm like, damn, he just doesn't want to hang out. But then I'm like, as a competitor, I understand it. Cause I'm like, he only recovers well at his house. So I'm like, that's something like he's just very in this sport to be good now. You have to be selfish and you have to like, that's why a lot of people like don't want to hang out with CrossFitters. And like I tell my girlfriend this all the time, like, how do you put up with my shit? Like, I'm like, this would be so annoying. Like me going to bed early and me like skipping dates to go to the gym. Like, it's like he does that. And he is the, how do I say it? Like he's the epitome of sacrifice.
Focused. He's dialed in.
Epitome of sacrifice. He's really good at just like putting everything else to the side and saying, this is my one focus. And he did that all year this year.
JR, is there anything else on this the leaderboard here between Dallin and Saxon that we need to know? Any surprises that you think will jump out at us from anybody else on this top 5?
I mean, just one, maybe not a surprise, just something that really made me raise an eyebrow today during event 2. And maybe this is something like we talked about this morning. What does being proven
What are you guys talking about?
Hey,
The Olympics? What sport are we talking? Hydroxy cut games?
The hydroxy cut games. It is
hydroxy cut.
It has to be.
What are we looking at here?
Dave, what do you think about these semifinals so far? What's your take on all this?
What's that? What is
the events today? Have you been following?
Is that the online qualifier?
No, this is the semifinal, the MACC.
Well, good talking to you guys. I had fun. I'm going to give it back to your ringleader.
Damn. Nice talking to you.
Thanks, Dave.
Do you guys just hang out, Savon?
I had my
one. No, I don't even know what the fuck he's doing here. Someone call the police.
Oh, that was cool. See you later, Dave. Thanks, Savon. Now do the same thing with Greg. Just like throw your neck thing on Greg.
It could be any second, actually. It could be any second. Okay, I apologize. I defer to my leader. Go on.
Go on, Souza. Have at it.
Throwing me off here. Okay, so Hiller, what about you? Any surprises on this leaderboard? Are we surprised to still see Luis Oscar up there in the top 5? Will he?
I was just going to bring that up, and it'll be interesting to see where he's at after the next one, and then after the next one, and then after the next one, and then when the weekend's over, because he finished 1st and 12th isn't that far off. And like if you look at the top times, he's right there. I mean, if he would have taken 7th, he'd probably be sitting in. He'd be rather close to Dallin if he would have taken 7th, and 7th was only 30 seconds away. So he's doing pretty good. And then as far as all right, I really like commenting on the comment section because I'm just in there reading them all. And everyone's talking about how Noah's washed up, and like he took 3rd on the second event, and he just missed a couple of lifts. Like I don't know why people are all like Noah's washed up. No, I don't think so. I think he's probably going to finish top 5 on the rest of the workouts, and everyone's gonna, everyone's gonna eat crow, as they say. He'll be right there towards the top when it's all said and done.
JR, what's your take? I saw some people in the lovely comment section saying Noah came out too hot. Do you agree with that, or do you think that was a good event for him?
No, I mean, definitely looked like a good event for him. I'm pretty sure his 50 GHDs were minute 21. That's very, very, very fast. However, you know, obviously he's used to doing them that speed in training. Where I was a little bit surprised was how early he started breaking up the handstand walk. That's kind of where Saxon started making his move. He did the 90-foot unbroken. Noah went 30, 30, 30. Before that barbell, and that's where we kind of saw the end of the workout take shape that last round.
So,
James, have you ever done 100 for time GHD sit-ups?
I did. I think I've done 150, and it was like I did right around like 33 to 35 a minute. I don't remember my time though.
Got it. So you would have been pretty close to a minute 20.
Dude, no, that cycle speed, no.
Yeah, that's rather. I did hear that they
crazy.
standardized the GHD sit-up this weekend, or like the hip placement on the GHD.
Wait, explain that to me, Hiller. What do you mean?
So Adrian Conway put out a post the other day about, and you can go look at people like who's the training think tank female athlete, where if this is the GHD pad and this is where your hips are supposed to be, like per the level 1 seminar, her hips were not on top of, but they were over here on this pad, so that essentially your torso leans over the top of it, and it's like you're doing a glorified glorified AdVat sit up. And there was a bunch of ruckus about how much easier those are. And I would agree that they are easier. But the thing that I was trying to tell everybody is that as long as you're touching the ground or the pad and then you're touching the foot pads, then it's a repetition. But apparently this weekend, they switched this standard where you're not allowed to have your hips on this side of the pad. You have to have them on this side of the pad. But I haven't had more clarification than that thus far, other than you weren't allowed to have your hips over here arching your body over the top of the pad, which I do think is probably all for the best.
James, what do you think of that? Does that make a difference in your training? How do you train? You sit with
your butt back? You can do them both ways, and they're both going to tax different muscles. It's like, okay, what's another movement? You can row leg dominant, or you can row lat dominant. Like you can change up the way you row, and based on what the other movements paired with the workout are. Like if you're involved in CrossFit and you know what is coming up at hand in the workout, like honestly, like it doesn't make the GHD sit up easier. It's just going to tax a different part of your body. Because I've done both versions. It's not like the GHD just gets easier. I think having your knees bent and like that kind of like
frog looking thing.
Yeah, the more flexion position, like I don't know how to describe it. It makes it a little bit easier on your core and harder on your legs. So like if you have a combo where you need your core more, like I would do that kind of like knee flexion bent position. And if you have a workout where like you need to save your legs a little bit more and your core doesn't matter, then you can kind of be more extended. But, you know, I think it's cool, whatever they decide to do with it, make a standard. But I do think they've been really tough with the no reps on those GHDs. Like I got like 12 no reps on those GHDs.
What were yours for?
They said my hands were going outside the line of the poles.
That's common. Yeah.
Yeah. And I looked back at the video, and some of them that they no rep, they were inside the poles. And then some of the reps they gave me that were good were outside of the poles. So it's just inconsistent. And like Hiller, I sent you a video of my friend Dex's muscle ups where he was just completely
that was bad. Dex Hopkins.
Yeah. And it's just, man, it's never going to get better until I feel like they start paying the judges. I don't know, but it's ever since I've been in the sport, I've been in the sport for a short time. It's just hasn't been consistent.
Yeah. JR, what do you think about that with the GHD? Any opinion? You think it's a good call?
Yeah, I mean, I just wish they would make it the same for all levels of CrossFit competition. So whether they do it in quarterfinals, semifinals, or the games. Last year at the games, they told us if you could envision imaginary point at the topmost part of the pad, you had to be sitting behind that line. And that's the only way you can do it. And ours were med ball GHD sit-ups. So, you know, I know they told Jason the same thing at the game. So I just wish they would do that at all levels.
Just consistency. Looking at the leaderboard here, Tyler Christopher, what are we thinking? Is he going to make his move tomorrow? Do we like him in the 4th place there? Are we surprised by this?
I think if he has all top 7s, he's going to qualify. You know, if 7th is his lowest finish, then I don't see where the guys, you know, behind him are going to win multiple events, and I don't see that the guys, you know, in front of him are going to do anything to to change that.
Yeah,
I
Hillary,
actually
go ahead,
did
James.
the math. Oh, sorry. Go for it, Matt.
No, you go. You did the math.
I was doing the math last year, kind of like a Brian Friend analysis. It was of all the semis, like what did you have to take on average in each workout? And it was something like 8.5. So you could take an 8th in each workout, and at all semis. This was for every semi that took 5 people. So the Europe and the North America, and you could take 8.5. So if you're an 8th, you were great.
So you're saying he's still got a chance?
You're saying there's a chance.
James, this is your first time on the show, and you don't do anything like Brian. So pipe down with that comparison.
I'm not Brian. This is my second time, Savon. Did you get our memory? Forget our
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I have dementia. I'm so sorry. This is your second time on the show. I apologize. Compare yourself to Brian all you want. My bad. I
retract
didn't even
that. Save your phone number, man. When you texted me, I was like, "Who's this hillbilly in my?"
You
ass.
This hillbilly.
Nice.
You saw it was a California area code, and you panicked. You're like, "What the fuck? The commies are coming."
805 is California.
Yes, Santa Barbara.
I thought that was a scammer. Man, I've been getting too many scam calls. I've won like 20 free cruises so far, man.
JR, using your lifting analysis, Spencer's on the way up too. So like he finished 16th in the lift and then 4th on the midline workout. So is he going to be one of those people who's going to inch his way up?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I look at 7, 8, 9, and 10 because
Jake Berman.
Yeah, I look at 7, 8, 9, 10, and I look at those finishes from 11th to 19th, and knowing what's coming for the rest of the weekend, I think all those guys have a big potential to climb. You know, I don't know Nick Thomas like James does. I know he's vouching for his fitness and everything, and obviously I don't know Luis very well at all, but I do expect those guys from 7 to 10 to climb.
Do you guys think Luis will be Matt's new guy? Did you guys hear him over the commentary where he had skipped class to come and train with him, and he was kind of catching some attention by Mr. Frazier there? James, what do you think? You think he's going to take him under the wing?
I don't think Matt has time for any more people. I was at dinner with him on Sunday night, and this guy is so busy. It's crazy. But he still makes time for everything he loves. I would be surprised to see him take any more people like under his wing that he like trains in at his home or like has even remotely close to him. But you know, it would be in his best interest to keep picking up these young guys and build HWPO for the future.
But if he were to pick someone up, I think next on his list is Tudor Magda. I think he strictly recruits out of James Townsend's gym.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I think they got along, James Townsend and Matt Frazier. I saw
they did. They had a little talk. Someone sent me photos. But hey, man, Tudor's that kid, man. Woo.
Hey, you know, I trained with him. I started CrossFit with him here in Issaquah, Washington, and the first thing I ever saw him do was 100 ring muscle ups when he was like 12 years old, and I thought he was like superhuman.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
Nuts.
And he's that strong, huh?
I didn't know he could do that, but I knew he was strong. He snatched 300 like 2 years ago.
I remember. Oh yeah.
And like he's like one of my best friends. The kid is awesome. And he's like calling me after this competition. He's like, "What is an agent? What do I need one of these for?" And I'm like, "Trust me, you need an agent, bro. You're going to the CrossFit Games." And it was really cute because he's like so clueless about all this. And I'm like, "Dude, you're big time now. Let's go."
Cool.
JR, were there a lot of other athletes that had competed last weekend that were there this weekend? Like, did you see Scott Panchek floating around? Was he there with a pair of like hedge trimmers to get the ropes just in case anything was going amiss this weekend?
Yeah, I did see him in the VIP, but I saw a lot of athletes. I saw Christine Kohlenbrander. I saw obviously Tia's here. Yeah, there's a lot of athletes that competed last weekend.
And Tia's already back in the United States.
Correct.
That's quick. What do you think they're doing there? What are they doing there? They got athletes there. They just like to hang out, intimidate the other ones going through competition.
Yeah, I think Tia's even told us that her and Brooke's relationship is pretty special. They have a pretty close bond, and obviously they're training partners. So you got John Colty, you've got Brooke. I mean, you've got Saxon. So you've got really all of her daily training partners. I think it's cool that she wants to show up and support them.
Yeah. Hillary, what do you think about that? Is that too much pressure on them?
Too much pressure on who? The
athletes. They got everybody else walking around. They got their
coaches
there.
I think they spent a little bit too much. So like similar to last week, how we were talking about how they spent too much time panning the crowd, not watching the
Well,
athletes.
you got Rich Froning breathing down your neck while you're over there. You know you're the third team. They want to go 3 teams to the game. He's over there watching it.
I don't know. I think that the pressure would almost be in showing up every day and keeping up with the Mayhem team every single day. I think that they're almost just used to it at this point. Like they're just basically working out somewhere else with Froning still breathing down their necks. But what I was bringing up right there is that they showed Tia for half the event sitting in the crowd with Shane while everyone else is working out. Like they have 2 cameras, right? One of them was showing Brooke, and the other one just showing Tia standing there laughing the entire time.
They got to get their money, dude. Because those are the views, man.
God, they got to get their money. Everyone's got to get their money.
Got to get those visuals. James, what's that?
Hey, I was impressed. Sorry to interrupt. I was impressed. At one point, I clicked on the men's heat, and there were 25,000 live viewers. What was the highest number of viewers you guys saw? Did you guys ever look at that metric?
21. So you beat me.
Yeah, I saw 24.5, I think.
At which rate, do you just think it's fake? Do you think it's conflated? Do you think people are just kind of they're paying for their viewers?
No. I think YouTube is actually one of the only honest ones. I think, yeah, okay.
James, what's that mean for you when you're competing to have everybody in your corner? Family there, everything else.
Yeah, I couldn't do it without my people. I think that my dad's been at literally every competition with me. So it's like when I don't hear much while I'm competing besides his voice, which is like I can pick out his voice in the stands. And that's like about it. But I think that like at this level now, you need people who understand what you're doing and will respect your downtime and just keep you grounded when you're going through emotional highs or emotional lows. Like it's pretty big time in the sport, just knowing like you have people to fall back on and hold your bags or make your food or put you to bed like a mama. Who knows? But, but
Sousa,
it's important.
Sousa, I think it's a double-edged sword. I think on one hand, James is extremely fortunate to have one of the sounds like one of the greatest, and just from the little bit I know, fathers who's walked on this planet. Just seen the relationship from the little bit that I've gleaned is amazing, and I hope to have that with my sons. But on the other hand, the pressure on James, no matter how much he says it's not there to please his dad, is it's crazy, right? I mean, it's like no matter he could say he's doing it all for himself, he could say it doesn't affect him, but at the end of the day, if James ever stands on that podium at the CrossFit Games, he's going to just walk right off and hand that medal to his dad, and it's a double-edged sword, I think. What do you think, James?
You know, me and my dad have such a competitive spirit with each other that it's like he's just like he's been to 3 CrossFit Games now, and I've been to 2, and like he's like my goals always stay one ahead of you, and he's like I always want to have a lift that's stronger than you. So he's been like doing like 20 rep maxes on every lift lately, and he's like, you think you could hit this? Think you could hit this? And I just love the competitive spirit that we have because it drives me. It's just another extrinsic thing that drives me to be better. And he's the one who showed me the sport too, and like got me introduced into this and got me hooked, and showed me how to find Pukey the clown, who was, it was weird seeing that guy at the competition. I didn't even know that existed. But having my dad
shit, really? You didn't know Pukey existed until this year?
No, I had no clue. And it was this actually after my 5th event was the first time I've really thrown up truly from anything CrossFit. So it's kind of ironic.
Oh, that was
hey, this is wild here. This is going to be a whole nother show, but that is basically what's happened to CrossFit. Do you see that?
Yep, the correlation there.
Yeah, right.
It used to be CrossFit mess you up, remember? And it had like
that was all CrossFit was. Throw up, don't get rhabdo, and salute your soldiers. Man, it's a whole nother show. Incredible.
JR, anything else jump out at you on this leaderboard here before we kind of transition, talk a little bit about the event tomorrow for the guys?
Cole Sager's lift, man, that was nuts. I didn't think he'd get over 300.
300?
Dude, I'm not kidding. He's not as strong. Like, he's not as strong at the huge lifts, like, as you would think.
But doesn't he kind of surprise you every single time he does it to the point where it's like, all right, you expect a little more than 300?
I don't know.
JR, what do you think? You like Cole Sager there in that spot? Were you surprised by that? I think JR is frozen.
I mean, if you look at the Wadapalooza, if you remember Wadapalooza, he almost took like dead last with me in that lifting complex. It was like cleans and jerks. And
Yeah, that was the worst workout of all time. You're talking about that clean and jerk madness, right? Where it was like 7 reps, 5 reps, 3 reps to the death.
Yep.
And like only like the biggest, baddest motherfuckers on the planet made their way through it.
Uh-huh.
What do you guys think? You think we'll see 2 pan checks on the podium by the end of this weekend here? JR, are you back with us?
It depends. I mean, of course, everything freaking depends. But I would think that Spencer still isn't going to find his way in there because I think there's going to be a couple other names that are going to filter their way into the top 5. He'll totally finish in like the last qualifier. If I were to give it a percentage, I'd say 25% chance he's in the top 5, 75% chance he's in the 6 and 7 spot.
James, what about you? You got an opinion on them?
I think Saxon's for sure got it. I think he was in the last chance qualifier last year, and he doesn't want to be there again. Obviously, it's not the best spot to be, but also it's another fighting chance. This field's really good. It's really good, and especially with all the gymnastic-y things that are coming up, you have to see that it's not from here on out. It's not really heavy weights. It's who can move a lighter barbell, who can move well in free space with gymnastic stuff. I can't tell. Like I said, day one, it's weird.
Do you, James, as a younger athlete, kind of have this thing where you want to take down the older athletes?
Oh, 100%.
It's like you're
guys
on
that I want to beat more
with,
than others.
Spencer. Yeah. Oh, I mean, Spencer's 26. He's got a couple of years on you. I thought he was younger.
I really enjoyed beating Jason Hopper in everything because he has this football mentality of like I'm gonna crush this fool. He's nothing, and then he'll look over at you every rep. Like it's like when you're doing GHDs, it's 1 rep over, and you're just like, bro, you're taking away seconds from your workout. And he's like one of my good friends. I love Jason. He's so.
You don't
awesome.
think Frazier's telling him to knock that shit off? Like, stop looking at Spring. Get on.
I don't know, but it's pretty fun like getting to push with him because like he was one of the guys I looked up to most last year and like being like, oh, I'm out next to him, and same with Justin. It was pretty dang cool. And now that I don't have like this fanboy mentality anymore. It's more just like I want to crush them.
So you got the hit list at home. You said there were some athletes more than others there. Do you list them out? Are you thinking about them and crossing them off the list?
I think about them more at night, but it doesn't matter if I beat Jason in 4 workouts because I got to get strong and consistent. Like that's why I keep saying it's not over till it's over because I had like a 55-point lead and then boom, like it's gone.
You're taken out by an old guy.
Yep.
Well, more.
That's why he wants to take them all out. It's like a Billy Madison hit list.
Yeah.
Have you seen Billy Madison, James?
I have.
Oh, the lipstick guy. Yeah. It's coming. And Simon's like, stop it with the movies.
Cross that one off the list. Okay, so tomorrow we got an event. What do we got? Number 3, the legless rope climb event here. Let me bring it up. On the women's side,
what's that workout look like? I don't know what that workout is.
Yeah, right. There hasn't been enough discussion.
We haven't seen it enough yet.
So who do we think on the women's side? Hiller, who do you got for this? Who's winning this event? Bailey Rail?
Bailey Rail.
Yeah.
And why do you like her?
Because she did really well at she's had a history of doing well at pulling events, and the one that really sticks in my head is the pegboard event in 2019, I believe it was. It was like the 10-round workout with the pegboard, the double unders, and
that was this year.
Squats. Was it 21? Yeah. Okay. 21, yeah. So she did real well at that workout. Did the upper body pulling that she's got. She's lighter. She's really good at muscle ups. She's my pick.
Did you see the semifinal in Africa? The top guys were like 20. The top time for the guys was like 20 seconds slower than like the top time at the syndicate. Like
wait. There's a semifinal in Africa.
It's not they didn't even cover the swim workout. I wanted to see it.
They didn't have the leaderboard of it. Fittest in Cape Town.
It's still not rocking.
The leaderboard's still gone.
Wait.
Oh, it got updated. I saw it.
It's up now?
Yeah.
Oh, it is up now.
What are the odds there's someone watching this right now that's like, these motherfuckers haven't talked about Cape Town yet?
Okay, well, let's take a look at that here so we can talk about the 2
Well, Jason Smith, who wins every year, is winning.
Okay,
and he's 38. He's been winning it every year forever. And in the women, it's probably Bezinet's not in first. Michelle Bezinet.
What is that other flag? There's 2 flags. Oh, there's a third flag. Is there different parts of South Africa?
No, just different countries on the continent. I'm sure it's just other countries on the continent.
Gotcha.
So anything notable out of this?
Hey, wait. Sorry. Before we jump there to Africa, what was this? Can we talk about the second workout real quick? Did you talk about that, Sousa? It's the rope climb, and then what was the second workout tomorrow?
Let me bring it up.
The MACC mile. They're doing that long one. It's running.
Torque tank?
Sandbag cleans, torque tank, chest to bar, wall balls, everything.
Yeah.
And what's the time limit on that?
It's a
25 minutes. Okay. All right. Sorry to derail you.
No, you're good.
They won't?
There will be, my guess is 8 guys that finish it.
Hey, tell us about the torque tank. Is the torque tank just complete horse shit? I'm like so anti-torque tank.
It was good for my event because the way they had it taxed your lockout, so you had to be locked out into the thing. And then we're doing double dumbbell snatch and a devil's press. It really was hard. So it was more upper body than a.
But James, it's a competition, and we never see anyone pass anyone with the torque tank. So if you're doing muscle-ups, we see a pass. If we see a run, we see a pass.
Yep.
If we see, we never see a pass on the torque tank. And so, I'm like, this is a training tool, not a competition tool.
I think that they make it way obviously the distance for the torque this year was way more than the torques for last year's events. So they maybe the programmers and the parameters for CrossFit were like, in order to see more of a change, we need to program it for longer. And it did affect, like, people slowed down with we had to push it like 400 feet for ours. How much volume is this? 700? No, they're at a total of 160 times 4.
720.
640.
640.
I think. Yeah.
640.
So that's more than mine. You're going to see a separation on that. I guarantee it.
No, but no one passes anyone on the torque tank is what I'm saying.
It's because it's like it's going to be like a 5-second at most deviation for 80 feet, like between every guy. You're right.
It's just not worth it. Just not worth it to go hard there at any point.
What if I told you, James, hey, the torque tank is ridiculous. Just use a real sled where people are rewarded based on how much effort they put into it. Would you agree?
I think that'd be beautiful. The Granite Games too.
Well, you just lost your torque tank sponsor for all of Root Strength. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Well, Emma already got us one of those, so we're okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm not the one who pulls in the sponsors. I'm the broke one.
Jared, what do you think about this event?
Yeah, so when I look at this event, although I do agree with Sevon and everyone else that I don't think you're going to win or lose on the tank itself, what I do think is going to happen, though, is the transitions in and out of the tank are going to be crucial. So going from finishing the tank to the first clean and then going from the 10th clean immediately onto the sled and back onto the runner are going to be the most important transitions in the workout. I don't think you're going to see a ton of separation on the 30 wall bars or 20 chest to bars.
This also isn't a running workout either. Like, there's running in it, but it's 25 minutes, and the 1,600 meters of the workout is like, what is it? That's like 1/4 the workout.
Right.
Well, what is it then?
What is it? It's what
I want to see if you think it is what I think it is.
The transition times. It's all about the transition times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you and JR agree on that? Can you, JR, starting with you and then move to James, what does a bad transition look like and what does a good transition look like specifically?
Okay, so let's say you start pushing the tank after the chest to bar pull-up and you cross the yellow line. Do you immediately put your hands on the bag and get your first, second, and maybe third clean before you take a breath? Or do you push the tank, stand up, tighten your belt or put your belt on, chalk up your hands, and then get a clean?
Yeah, agreed.
Like James would do, James would run over and get a hug from his dad.
In the middle of the event.
Anything that's an excuse to rest.
So true. Yeah, this is I honestly can't tell if I'd rather do this one or the one from the syndicate. They're the 10 to 50, the skiing with Karen, or this one. They're both gross, but this one is more, you can find places to kind of rest and recover. Like, I know it's like wall balls for some guys are pretty hard and running is pretty hard, but you don't have to push the runner crazy hard here. You don't have to go crazy on the pace with the tank because it's a stupid reward if you push harder. It's really just keep moving. It's not gonna be, there's not gonna be guys dying so bad at the finish line is what I'm thinking.
So Hiller, with it being coming down to the transitions, and I'm assuming you also agree with that as well, is this going to make for a tighter workout at the finish line, or will we see some big separation in the rounds 2 and 3?
On workouts like this, I think that they're rather capacity based. So if you were to throw someone like James in there, I think he's going to come out on top, because when I look at someone like James, I think he's got a pretty high capacity. And I think that, yes, the transitions are important, but I think that it's going to be a combo of who is able to kind of knock out the chest bar pull-ups the quickest while getting onto the runner and maintaining a decent running pace, and then, of course, moving the sandbag at a better clip than other people are going to be moving it. The 10 sandbag to shoulder every single round can look very different for a bunch of different people. And someone like James, I could see him moving it much better than some other people.
There will be a lot of touch and goes with that sandbag too on this. I could see people doing like a 6 and a 4 or a 5 and a 5. Like it's not like you have to do singles. I mean, it's
like a 150 bag for some guys is kind of light, and for some guys it's not light at all.
Exactly.
So I think that that's going to be eating up a couple more people than we think.
What do we think looking at the women in this event here? JR, do you have a favorite for this? Who are you looking at and thinking will run away with this event?
Well, I mean, based off the fact that I do think there's going to be more separation than you think in that sandbag tank. I really liked watching Danielle last year's completely different workout, very fast power output workout. But the way that she went touch and go with the D-ball was pretty impressive. I think for most of these women, you're going to see a lot more touch and go technique than you see with the men. So that being said, as long as Danielle doesn't blow up on the run, I really like her to kind of grind, head down and grind on this one.
We haven't talked about the true form not being the assault runner either. It's a different runner. It's very slightly different, but it has a different feel to it for sure.
Is it harder than the assault runner? What do you mean by different? What is?
I remember when assault came out, everyone was talking about how it was lighting up their hamstrings, and the true form runners has a different feel to it. And I always wonder, like, how many athletes have gone completely assault runner and will not have very much true form experience, because they're like same but different. James, do you know have you used true form versus assault? Do you notice the difference?
Yeah, the only time I used the true form was at Sam Quant's garage, and I basically run this 400 meter thinking it's a 400 meter, but it was like it was 400 feet, and I thought I like set a world record on it, and I was like, I'm the best runner in the world.
They're glitchier for sure.
Yeah, that's the only experience I have on it. I haven't been on it much. I don't run a lot in my training for good reason, because I'm weak as shit and good at running. But yeah, we'll see how it affects him.
So, JR, I got a question for you. A little off topic here. Totally off the record, since I think, no one's listening anymore. Give us your true opinion on this, JR. Would Taylor have qualified last week if he would have been healthy?
100%. Yes, 100%.
So the thumb, if it wasn't for his injury, would be going to the games this year.
Correct.
All right. Fine.
What about you guys? You agree, Danielle Brandon, for this as well? Hiller?
Oh, who do I think is going to take this out of the females?
Who do you think?
Who said Danielle Brandon?
JR.
JR said Danielle Brandon. I'll you know what? I'll go with Savant's pick. I'll go with Sydney.
James, how about you?
I don't know the woman well enough to know who's going to do well on this, but I know that if there's like the grittier, the better on this. That's all I know. I know the men's pretty well. I think that Sager and Pepper will be up there fighting for the top 2 spots here.
Sydney looks like an angry motherfucker. She looks like she's gritty.
Is that what you picture for you? You think she's got the grit for this one?
I'm just kind of piggyback off of what James just said, that someone gritty, and she hasn't looked very happy when I've seen her.
That's a good thing sometimes. Turn on that evil face.
JR, what about for the men's side of things for this event? Who are you looking at?
I wish there was someone in the field that's like I see and I just think of as like a runner, like a long endurance athlete. But I'm actually going to go on a limb and say that Spencer Panchik performs really well on this one.
Me too. Yep, I'm going out on that too. That's exactly what I'm doing. Spencer too.
I just think he knows the urgency is there to make his move and to climb back up closer to the 5th, and he's not going to wait until day 3. I think he'll do well on the legless workout, and then I think he'll go out and perform well on this one.
I picked Cole Sager.
Sager.
Yep.
Why Sager? Why? What do you think about that?
He will
He's a
go
fucking
all day
monster
on
at
this
running. He's a great runner. And the sandbag isn't going to be an issue for him, and he's trying to get back to the games. Not like
You know how
anyone else
they have like mayhem workouts that are like, if you think of mayhem, you're like GHDs, handstand walks, blah, blah, blah. When you think of ComTrain, you think of these movements.
So you think he's just more well-versed in this particular event is just his event. It's his event to lose.
Yep, I think so.
I think Saxton goes right to the finish line and then stops and goes over and helps Spencer cross, and then Saxton crosses right after. Helps him push his torque tank. I wonder if there's any rules against that.
Just a little
helping your opponents to cross the finish line.
Yeah,
or go and sit on theirs to make it harder.
Right.
I bet there'd be some sort of appeal process that wouldn't be followed through, so they would just they couldn't do anything. They would just have to let it go.
Jason Hopper tried to appeal one of my events and try and get one of my scores pushed back because he was mad I beat him.
Hopper did? Is that true story? Is that true story?
Yeah,
I think the story is I think the story is that Jason and James had a gentleman's wager before a workout. Whoever won owed the other one owed money. James was under the impression that Jason beat him. Jason told him that he beat him, but in fact he did not. So James sent Jason money.
This was at Wodapalooza.
It should have been the other way around.
Is that true, James? Is
That's
that
very true? Yeah, he came up to me after and he's like, here's my Venmo. I was like, oh shit, okay. And it was late at night. We competed at like 10:30. I'm just focused on like going out, having a good time. I'm moving to Florida the next day. So I'm like, I'll send him his money. Then I accidentally sent him more too. So I sent him a $50 additional, and he's like, I'm not gonna send it back. And I was like, no way. You better send me that money. And it wasn't a big amount, but it was pretty funny.
So can you imagine being conned by Hopper? Holy shit, James! You never tell that story again.
That's why he was staring him down at that last event and wanted that win. That's why he's on top of the hit list there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I could beat him in 4 out of 6, and he still got second. I got 6th. He's consistent.
So looking at the event, we already talked about it for the women. It was pretty much a unanimous Bailey rail. I think, JR, that's right, when your internet connection started to go out. Women here, is anybody, who do you got for this event? Are you on the Bailey rail train too as well for this one?
I like that pick. Yeah, just, Mayhem does legless once or twice a week for sure.
So that's the second time I think you guys have noticed. So are we thinking these training camps in the way that it's programmed, it makes that big of a difference between the two? Like, shouldn't they all just be training all well-rounded, but yet this event is a little bit better for Mayhem. The last event was maybe a little bit better for people in ComTrain. Jared, what's your feelings on that? Like, is it just
I think every training camp probably has a little bit of their bias. Some really, really, really like to do heavy machine work, whether they do it at the end of a long session with like a Z2 with one machine, or whether they do like 30 or 40 minute EMOMs on multiple machines. And then you have others that like to train skill work, not under fatigue, just to accumulate volume. And you have other camps that like to train skills under fatigue. So yeah, I think that they're all going to have their own flavor.
Who do we got for a second on this? We're all unanimous Bailey rail, but we got to get somebody else in this mix. Who else
do we really get someone to say? Okay, for second place on the regional workout from 2014, I am going to go with
Jessica Schwartz.
Damn. No, I've seen her do rope climbs. I can't pick Jessica Schwartz. I spoke earlier about how she was on our team. She does that kip thing immediately. She's going to see this and be like, you motherfucker, how dare you say that about me? Say good things about me, but I'm like, hey, you do that kip thing. I will pick Daniel Brandon for second. It'll go Rail Brandon. Which is, really going out there, Andrew. Yeah,
I know. Who we got on the guy side for this? James?
Just so you know, I hear all of that.
What?
Because I listen. I just can't hate it. Rail Brandon. It's like I hear everything. I'm from a tortured soul. Rail Brandon. Okay, go on.
RAIL and then the dude's name, right? Brandon.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm just telling you. I'm a listener. I'm a good listener.
James, you got your boy on this one, Dallin?
Yeah, I got my boy on this, but then also there could be some guy this is an event that some guy that we have no clue could come do well. So you really can't guess here. So it could be the same not as same for the woman, but all guys, 10 legless rope climb at this level is going to affect them pretty similarly. As it just comes down, it's an execution workout, not really.
James, I have a
capacity.
question for you. How in
Yes.
the hell did you avoid the rope on the floor?
Oh man, it's as easy as if you need to go slower, go slower. If you're worried about it, like go slower.
You heard it here first, guys. Look out for the rope.
And did we get confirmed? Are the ropes cut now? Did that
They're
happen?
cut. They are cut. Yes.
Did they use scissors like you, Hiller?
No, they're not as high tech as I am.
Oh, gotcha.
They're still over
Yeah.
here somewhere.
You're pretty
here
edgy,
they
dude.
are. I still have them.
JR, who are you looking at on the men's side for this event? Who do you got?
I actually think Saxon's probably going to win this one.
Saxon for this? Why is that?
I've just seen him on a lot of rope climb workouts. I actually wanted to pick Spencer, but I already thought he was
Redemption for his brother.
Well,
Yeah.
you're talking about before, if they're pretty low on event one, relatively speaking, that this most likely might be a better event for them. So wouldn't Spencer kind of categorize underneath that there, because he did get 16th in the first event?
Yeah, I think he would. And actually seen him at Wadapalooza. James, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he win the Bayside Chipper at Wadapalooza that had the rope climbs with legs?
That was Vellner, and then it was Corone, then me.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was I don't even know how to describe that workout. That was a shit show with those step overs. Didn't even come down to those.
Yeah, I was just thinking specifically about the rope climbs and how fast they were. How fast
for sure.
in Saxon,
For sure.
So
I feel you. The volume here, it's for this workout, you just have to be, if you're in a good spot, like in round 8, just be more conservative in rounds 9 and 10. Like people, for the guys, it's like, can you finish the workout? It's not like, oh, starting the workout's gonna be hard. Everyone's gonna be fine through round 6, like for the guys at least. But yeah,
was that even hard for you?
It was a good warm up.
Yeah, so you could say it wasn't hard. You also just said that you slowed down and took what, second?
I slowed down on that last rope climb because I was afraid of the same thing happening at West Coast to me the year before, where I hit barely and they called a no rep and I couldn't get back up. So I was just like, dude, get a good rep under your belt. Who cares if you take second rather than first? Like, that's still a great placing.
Yeah, because a missed rep on that event, you're done, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have to go back up that rope a second time, you're pretty much being lapped at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
Hiller, who do you got for this? Were you also saying Saxon?
On the men's side,
Yeah,
I like Noah.
Noah for this
Noah's
one.
short, really.
I just think that Noah's he has to, you know. I really like Cole. So I would say Cole, and then because you made me take a second place on the last one, I would take Noah for second. Those are going to go Cole, then Noah. And then Saxon Panchik's going to take 10th.
So Noah really has to make his move tomorrow if he is going to get back himself up into it.
No, I don't think he's got to make a move. I just think he has to keep on taking third, which I guess you could classify as making a move, but
he could by the 8.5 theory, he could probably take 5th or 6th the rest of the weekend and be fine too.
And even out, JR, what are you thinking about Noah? Is he going to make that move tomorrow, or do you think he'll just stay consistent and finish on top at the end of the weekend?
I actually think he's going to make a big move on Sunday. I like his ability to do the toes to bar and the dumbbell snatches, possibly unbroken with the 70. And I think he's going to do really well in the final with all the muscle ups and the lunges. Going back to the legless workout, we talked about this morning, and I think I mentioned about Cole seemingly always punching his ticket to the games back in the day on the legless rope climb workout, maybe with thrusters at the end.
That's why I choose Cole.
Yeah, so that's a great call with Cole, and he's just really athletic. He's been doing shuttle runs his whole life. I do expect him to be able to cover maybe a little bit more ground on the jump on the legless and to actually get into pulls every time. So, yeah, I think Cole's a really good call for that one.
Did you guys see the picture that Greg sent us?
What?
You see that?
Is that the 100 pounds? Was that the 100 pounds of lobster?
There's some lobsters.
Yummy.
So anything else before we wrap this up? I don't know if you guys even want to touch the should we just scan over the Fittest in Cape Town leaderboard real quick? I mean, really, there's only 2 athletes to watch throughout.
That's awfully rude. You're going to get canceled for saying that.
I get canceled for laughing at comments that are made here. So starting with the women, we already talked about it briefly here. We have double Michelle for 1 and 2 at the top there.
Michelle.
Do we see this changing or moving at all throughout the
Yeah,
weekend?
I'm going to choose Michelle Besnay because I know the name, and I have a feeling that she'll finish over Michelle, who I don't know.
AR, what about you? What do you
All
think?
feeling.
Yeah, I'll go with Basnet. She's a Crucible alum. She was on the podium year 1 at Crash, so I'll stick with her.
James, any thoughts on the females at the Fitness in Cape Town?
I have no clue. I've never really watched any of them.
So you're under the Matt Burns here. Skip them.
Yep.
Jason Smith is going to win, and then he's not going to do
win.
so hot of the games because that's usually how it works. 38-year-old who's still winning over in his former regional now semifinal.
He's 38. Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, that is impressive.
Go
Are you
Masters.
21?
No, I'm 20. I just turned 20 last week.
So he's 18 years older than you. He is a full legal child older than you.
Isn't that nuts?
Jeez, I gotta take some on spot in this. I gotta point out the stuff like that. Say things like, "Yeah, he could be your dad."
He could be my dad.
Yeah.
Is anybody from either these two, men or women's side, if the qualify, they're going to make it to the games, are they going to be at contention for a top 10 finish or a top 5 finish?
No.
At all, do you think?
No.
Okay.
I think that you could take a lot of guys from the North American semis, like they got 6th, 7th, or 8th, and they would go beat Jason.
Oh, I think you could take some guys in the teens and they would go in there and beat Jason. Not trying to be a dick to Jason, but I think you were being a little nice.
All right, well, before we just hammer on Jason here, we'll go ahead and move on past that.
He doesn't take last at the games. Let's just put it that way. So he's not bad.
He is good. He's strong as fuck too.
Yes.
He had a 290 snatch. Not too many. Maybe last year, the year before.
I mean, at 38 years old, that's
crazy.
That's insane. Okay, gentlemen, I appreciate it. Anything else before we wrap up here, James?
Oh man, just thanks for having me on. I think it'll be cool to watch it all play out, and it's weird to be on the other side of things right now.
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Right?
Hey,
that's right. Yeah, come back. Yeah,
let's go. I'll be back for sure tomorrow. I'd love to wrap some stuff up with y'all.
Oh, perfect.
I've seen a couple of people saying get James on here more, so let's go.
Hey,
yeah, there was actually quite a few comments that came in about that, and I've been a big fan of James's. I got to spend a little time with his parents at the restaurant at Wadapalooza in between events, and great kid, great family. So I'm pumped.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'm blessed to be able to come on here and share a little bit. I know you guys are all pretty smart and analytical, so hopefully I can just bring some laughs.
Yeah,
James, I got to tell you that I have from my affiliate back in the day. There was a girl athlete. She was 16, 17, 18, and she was a big fan of yours.
Hey, sweet. That's really cool.
Coming up, she's like, James Spring.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
She would fangirl over you for sure. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
The heartthrob that is James Sprague.
This last week has been crazy because it's like, man, it's been like a lot of really positive attention, but I'm also just still like, frick, like if someone tells me I did a great job, I'm like, I appreciate that, but I don't feel like I did a great job. Like I still have a lot.
I was actually pretty pissed off at how terrible you done that last workout.
Dude, it was trash. I'll tell you the story if you want to hear it real quick. But event 5 literally did me in worse than any other workout I've ever felt in my life, and I came into that last workout just going, holy shit, like you are feeling it, bro. And there's no in competition, everyone's feeling that way. I just remember like throwing up everything I tried to eat, having no fuel in my body, and then getting out there like, whoa, okay, you're calling a big audible right now. Let's see what happens.
Will you adjust anything in your training with that? Or is that
definitely going into semis? Like knowing that like there could be a really crazy event for like the beginning event, and then you go right into the next one. You have to like start your warm up right away for the next thing. And I've never done that in training. When I do a really hard piece in training, I'll usually go rest like 3, 4, 5 hours after. But now that I know that can happen in semis before like the 6-8 weeks leading up to semis, I'll definitely change that and like have at least 1 or 2 days a week where I just do something terrible, like F up my body and then go and try to do something else.
Man, the future looks bright for you. JR, any parting thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see him in the last chance qualifier. I know maybe he's not wanting to think about training right now with all the sugar on his stomach, but
next week, it's actually fuel.
Next week, I'm sure he's going to be getting back after it.
For sure.
All right, I got to make mention because I think Travis might kill me, but we made patches for the no rep patches. So they're available on Vindicate. Yeah, so they go on the vests. And we're also launching the shirt. So I got to point out the shirt. It'd probably just be easier if I did this.
Hiller, it was
That's-
parting thoughts, not plugging all your shit. Okay,
Dude,
I don't know what. The
yeah,
We're gonna get
yeah,
sales
but
from this, bro.
no, all right.
He's a non-profit.
Savon never watches his own shows anyway, right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah. You guys are gonna get me fired on day one. I already fucked my question up with Dave. I should have asked him, how does it feel that is the rumors true? Is he gonna come back and save CrossFit for us?
You should have. Why didn't you ask it? Were you
Because I didn't
starstruck?
fucking know he was coming, and I didn't think about it. Then I panicked. I've been panicking the whole time. My palms are all sweaty. My heart rate's been at 200 since
I was gonna say you've been a little bit quick with the words, but you've been doing great. I think
killed it.
if you grew your hair up with the glasses on, no one would have even known a difference. You also need to get like a weird ass chair in the background, and all of a sudden you look like Savon.
Well, I'm gonna stack my papers here. Gentlemen, anything else before we jump off? We will be coming on tomorrow morning and discussing the first events. We're not 100% sure on the schedule. We'll be getting up for you guys pretty soon here. Anything else before we go, gentlemen?
I got nothing.
All good.
That's it. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be seeing you tomorrow. And don't forget, go buy some Paper Street coffee because they are awesome and they help us out with the show. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Simon might kill me for that one, but